Hello, everyone. My name is Olivia Owens, and I am the Creator Partnerships Manager here at Teachable. If you're new to the Teachable community, welcome. Teachable is a no-code platform for creators who want to build a more impactful business through courses, coaching, downloadable content, and community. And we are excited to be back this month with a new part of our series, Powering Your Business with Teachable. And this month, we're talking all things about overcoming the failure to launch. So if you have been thinking about launching a course for months and months and months and haven't been able to hit that launch button, we're going to talk through the kind of mindset shifts and strategy that you can put into place to get your course up and running. I'm super excited to be joined by three amazing Teachable creators, Natalie Bardot, Nikki Novo, and Alex Beaton. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to give you each the opportunity to introduce yourselves because you know your story way better than I do. And Natalie, I'm going to pass it over to you to introduce yourself first.
Hello, everyone. So I love to say that I'm your Pinterest coach. I started out by creating an online course based on what I learned about Pinterest when building my blog, It's All You Boo. And I'm just proud to say that I've helped thousands of other creators to launch and level up with Pinterest. And as a platform, I love it. Also, as a platform, I love Teachable. My courses have been there for years. And yeah, so I focus all about Pinterest.
Amazing. Excited to dig in more there. Alex, I'm going to pass it to you next.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. My name is Alex Beaton, and I am a launch strategist and coach. I have an online program called Together We Launch, where I teach a rinse and repeat launch strategy. And my entire ideology behind launching is that it should be as easy and joyful as possible. It should be a part of your business that is predictable and, is something that doesn't bring you a lot of stress and something that you can actually do again and again and feel more and more confident in. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I definitely want to hear more about this launch strategy that brings joy. I think everyone here does too. So we're definitely circling back on that, and we'll round it out with Nikki.
I was thinking the same thing, Olivia. I was like, I think I need Natalie and Alex in my life. So I'm excited to be here with both of you. My name is Nikki Novo, and I am a spiritual mentor, but I've actually been teaching online courses since 2008. Our business has made on Teachable over $1 million in sales with our courses. So we do intuition development. So, and I've tried all of the platforms, and not because I'm here, but Teachable is my favorite and my best is the best. So yeah, I'm excited to be here and share whatever knowledge and help ease those nerves and get you out into the world.
Beautiful. So I can definitely say we have experts in this room for this conversation. So let's jump right in. We asked for questions leading up to this session, and so many people really had questions around the mindset. They know what they want to launch. They know what they want to teach. But when it comes to actually sitting down and putting pen to paper and bringing this course to life, they get stuck. So I'm really curious from each of you, where were you in your business when you decided to launch a course? And what were some of the mindset shifts that you needed to make? And I know for some of you, this was years ago. So taking a step back into the past and putting ourselves in that space. Nikki, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Olivia. So like I said, I've been launching for a long time, and it always boiled down to the same kind of feeling that I was at, where I wanted to help. I remember my first ever course was on blogging back in the day when that was a thing. And I kept getting asked to go to coffee and like teach blogging to friends and family and things like that. And I wanted to, but then I found myself driving around Miami, city traffic was not fun. And I just learned that in order to help, I actually needed to learn how to scale and expand my knowledge. So although I was afraid of learning something new, because I was, my background is I'm a writer. I was an editor for many years. This was like a whole new world to learn the technology of it, the marketing, the sales, all those kind of things. But if I was really serious about helping, I was like doing a disservice because at some point I couldn't meet all those people at the coffee shop. So really what was between me and actually like growing the business or launching the program was like that fear of that knowledge gap in between. But what kept me going was I just want to help more people. Like I have to find a way to get to, support these people that are already coming my way. So that was like the beginning feeling. And then I would say with time, then there was other moments where it was like, you want to scale your business because you want to make more money. So some of you might be like really popular guitar, instructors in your town, or, maybe you've been killing it on YouTube sewing and things like that, but you're not getting compensated for your knowledge. It's important to also know that like you deserve to make that income, and teaching the courses is really a way to do that. So the mindset shift kind of changes every single time, or there's like different reasons, but at the end of the day, I think that your true, like your North Star is what will carry you over during the scary times.
Yeah, I think you hit such a good point of you've developed this expertise in the thing that you want to teach, but then coming to launching courses, you're asking yourself to be a beginner again and learn something new. And that's a really uncomfortable space to sit in. But it sounds like for you, Nikki, it was kind of focusing on the opportunity that existed on the other side of that, of all the people that you would be able to reach and support. Curious, Natalie, if that was a similar experience for you.
Yeah, I definitely at times relate to a lot of the sentiments that you shared, Nikki. For me, the mindset shift that I had to make, and especially with anything new I'm doing, is just reminding myself it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be flawless. It doesn't have to be the final version of the product. It just needs to be helpful to someone. And especially when I launched my Pinterest course, Pinterest Popular, I focused on, okay, what is going to be the most helpful right now? This sales page is not going to be the most, perfect high converting thing, but let me just get a draft done. Let me just get the first lessons in my course up. Like I sold my course to start off, it wasn't complete. And I'd say my course is never complete, but I think if you shift your mindset from, oh my gosh, this big course, it has to be perfect. It has to have everything. And oh, look at this amazing course that Nikki or Alex has. Like, how can I come out with a course and compete with that? You shift to, I just need a draft. I just need version 0.001. I just need to get started. So I think if you just kind of like take down the pressure, you're more able to get started and deliver, that, beginning product. And I was really excited that you guys invited me because on the low key, I've been coaching other coaches on creating their courses. And they are, even these are coaches that are making like 6 figures or more. And they're nervous about creating a course, but it's just remembering that you got this, this, and don't get hung up on the tech. Because I think we can freak out about, I have to learn all this new tech. It's too complicated. Email marketing, sales funnels. Do I need ads? Like that's like, you don't need to worry about that. Just get version 0.001 done and, sign up with Teachable and they'll handle the rest, right?
I love it. Alex, how about you?
So I actually want to start off by asking everyone who's here live, if you can leave a comment and let us know, like, how long have you wanted to have an online course for? Because, sometimes even just putting that into perspective and being like, this is something that I've wanted for a long time. Like, when did the idea of having an online course first come into your mind? Go ahead and pop that into the chat box. But for me, it's a few things. Firstly, when you focus on service and when you remind yourself that the whole purpose of you being able to do this is to be able to impact the lives of more people, that really helps push me into a space of momentum and really feeling confident and believing in myself. I think also detaching yourself from the end result. So understanding that, your authority and your zone of genius it's not a reflection of, you know, your skills as an online course creator and getting butts in those seats and signing people up, right? You're gonna have to be a beginner at that, as we were just talking about. And it's okay to be a beginner. The only way that you're ever going to be able to make a full-time income and be able to maybe potentially replace your current income through course creation is by being a beginner and kind of going through that phase. The other thing that I would say that's wonderful to do is to surround yourself with people who have already done what you're trying to do, whether that's listening to podcasts or joining another course, a community, anything you can do where you can see other people doing it. It's going to prove to your brain psychologically, like, oh, there's evidence that someone else is doing. You know, even you guys showing up here today, I think that's such a great step in the right direction of being like, if they can do it, I can do it. They are no different from me. And that in and of itself is such a permission slip.
Yeah, absolutely. That support system is huge. And it's interesting to see in the chat that a course is an idea that can kind of simmer for years before you execute against it. So I appreciate Alex asking that question, just so we can level set on, if this is an idea that you've had for 3 years, the monetary opportunity that has been missed by sitting on the sidelines is massive. And even if that's not your full-blown course, even if it's a mini course to start, that 0.00001, as Natalie said, that's something that you can start monetizing today, and then build on top of.
Can I just add one extra thing?
Yeah.
For the people who are saying, you know, it's been 3 years or 5 years, etc., it's easy for you to think to yourself, oh, it's too late. You know, I missed the boat. Like I've lost my chance. It's still so early in the online course industry. Like, I know it doesn't feel that way, but it is. So the best time that you can get in is now.
Absolutely agree. Go for it, Natalie.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I also think there needs to be a level of just not feeling guilty about it, like to not be like, or like any shame about, oh, I've just been sitting on this for 3 years. I didn't do anything. Oh, like I missed out. Like, I think we all just sometimes need to like release that, like just let go of those thoughts and those feelings, because that can also hold us back, you know? And I love that Alex said today, like right now is always the best time to get started. And just forget about what could have been, and let's focus on what will be when you decide to take action today, right? So,
yeah, and I think to double click on that point, it kind of pulls us into the conversation around this idea of oversaturation. If feeling too late is the idea, well, the space has already been filled. There's no space for me to come in. I'm curious how you all think about that. Even if you're trying to expand your business, Natalie, now you're starting to coach yourself. Did you start to think, well, I don't know if this is something I can take on? There are so many other people coaching on online courses today. How do you navigate that mindset shift? I'll pose that to any of you.
I would just say that in terms of like spaces being filled, there's only one space with your shape that you can fill yourself. You know, nobody else can fill it. Nobody else can do it the way that you can do it. And I think that's just coming to this recognition that you have value, you have a unique perspective, you have a unique training. So even if there are all these other people doing it one way, only you can teach your way. And that's kind of like how I focus on for myself, and like, okay, like next year I'm going to launch as like a coach for course creators, which, yeah, it's scary, but my method is unique to me and nobody else teaches it that way. So I think you got to like puff yourself up a bit, like, yeah, you know, only I can do it this way, and embrace that uniqueness, because you are all unique.
Natalie, I feel like you got bigger when you did that. You were like, you expanded into the yeah. But I would say too, I think saturation is such an interesting conversation, because it's the world we live in, right? Like, you go to Netflix and there's like 2,500 rom-coms, like, but with different characters, because we have finally realized that we are all different, and it's nice to see like different personalities saying the same story, but we resonate with different. So that's important. Also, I would say, from doing my work for so long, the people that are in your space that are maybe dominating. So Natalie's about to go into course creation, and there are like the OGs of the course creation space. But believe it or not, we all get burnt out, and they're not going to like do it forever. They are, there is, like anything, an expert, there's so much gift that a newbie or like somebody who's just entering the space has to offer that an expert no longer can offer. So like an expert is like, an older is like not as flexible, like is sitting on top of their mountain, hasn't been on the ground for a while, as opposed to like those of you who are like been on the ground, like you have a very fresh perspective compared to people that like seem to be dominating and they're only dominating because there's nobody coming up and being like, I think I'm going to challenge you. So one thing I would say is that this is like a very normal thing, and that we don't want to be in a place where there's a bunch of giants, and that you have something to offer at every stage. Like if you're a newbie, you have like, curiosity and like flexibility and new ideas. If you're in the middle, you got like motivation and like you got ambition. And if you're at the top, you have expertise, you have wisdom. So it doesn't matter what level we're at, we do have something to offer.
I think the only thing that I would add to that is to remember that you are not your thoughts. So when you're having these thoughts in your head, and I'll give you a great example. When I first got started, I used to tell myself all the time, no one's going to want to listen to you because Marie Forleo exists. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to want to listen to Marie Forleo. She is the big dog. No one cares about what you have to say. And one day I woke up to an email from this random girl who had never messaged me before. And she was like, Alex, I'm so glad that you exist. I'm so glad that you're out there sharing all of this information. I've been trying to learn from people like Marie Forleo, and her voice just doesn't resonate with me. And I'm so grateful for your voice. So 2 lessons that I learned from that was like, just because you're thinking it doesn't mean it's true. Let those thoughts pass like passing clouds. And secondly, there are going to be people who resonate deeper with the way that you say it and the way that you bring it to the world.
I love it. I love it. And I think also to start, I'm sure so many of the people in these comments are already doing this work in some capacity. So going back to the people who you've poured into and supported, and like creating a reminder jar for yourself of the impact that you've already created to date, to further validate like where you are in your journey and the value that you've delivered so far, and the opportunity that exists for what you can deliver through your courses or through your membership product. Alex, I would love to jump into kind of when you're supporting your students through the launch experience, what are some of the light bulb moments that you watch them go through when it kind of unlocks and they're like, oh yeah, like we can do this. This is happening.
I think the biggest one is that launching is like a math equation. And when you can see it like a math equation, it kind of removes all of the emotion from it and the guesswork from it. And you can see it as something that you can rinse and repeat, and knowing that like you can do the same thing again and again and again. And sometimes people might think, oh, well, if you have the same launch again and again, people are going to get bored. But actually what it does is it creates this memory with your community. It builds this sense of excitement. For our launch strategy, we host events, right? So we host like 5-day challenges or boot camps right before we open the cart. And that creates a sense of memory and tradition with your clients. And they look forward to those events, whether they buy from you or not. You're feeding and investing into your community. And so I think when people realize I can rinse and repeat, I can use the same emails again and again, with every launch, it gets easier and easier. You can actually look back and look at your conversion rates and look at, your sales page. How did that convert? And looking at all of the data and the numbers, and be able to tell in between launches where you need to place your focus on for the next launch in order to hit your even bigger goals. So I think that's a really, really big one for sure.
I love it. And Natalie, on your side of things, you've grown in organic email list for yourself. And one of the questions we even got in the chat was, what comes first, the audience or the course? When should I launch the course? If you were kind of getting started today, or when you're coaching these clients that you're working with, what is that audience building conversation that you're having with them?
Yes, that's a very chicken and egg situation we have
Mhm.
here. The amazing thing and how I look at it is you don't necessarily need your own audience to start. There are a lot of other creators out there and experts who have already done the hard work of building a list. And if you approach them with an offer, an irresistible offer of partnership that they cannot refuse, you get instant access to their own audiences. So don't let I don't have an email list to launch to, I only have like 100 subscribers. You can build your list very quickly if you have something to sell, and just make it really easy to partner with someone. So whether that's you already have email swipe copy, you have graphics, you set everything up, and you will pay them handsomely for granting you access to their email lists. That to me just removes all the barriers. And that's how I've done it. And that's how I encourage other people to do it as well. So don't have like I don't know, like what list anxiety, when someone's like, how many email subscribers do you have? And you're like sweating because you're like, I don't have any. It's okay. You can build that list. Also, quizzes are an amazing way to build an email list. But yeah, that's my advice on that one.
I love it. And Alex, Nikki, anything else to add on the list building tactics for those in the room who are holding back because they don't feel like they have a big enough list?
Yeah, I was wondering, guys, on those of you who are watching live, if you can let us know what kind of course you do want to introduce, because I do think course creators are like two types of people. I believe that there is like marketers, and then I believe that there are like practitioners or like kind of these like experts. I would definitely put myself more in the practitioner expert kind of category. So the way, and I think there's many different ways to create, like to launch your course, or, if you have a list or if you don't have a list. I can only speak from like the way that I ended up doing it, which was that I was a very kind of word of mouth person in my, even just in my city. I used to live in Miami, and I was just known. I became known for readings at some point. So I was like a door-to-door salesperson. Like I had, of course, some digital experience because I came from the media world, so I knew how to do that. But I moved to courses when my one-on-ones were getting out of control, and I was exhausted, and I could no longer really start to see more people. So I needed to scale. And I feel like maybe some of you are like that. And I think that is a watercolor. There we go. Yeah. So I feel like if you're in that camp, marketing is going to feel super scary because it's like not necessarily your expertise, because you're more of an expert in your field. So I would say that a kind of a smart way to start growing your online courses is to create something that is a little bit of like an sell or an add-on to your current people. So like, let's say you have 20 people that come to you for watercolor, like you have a monthly in-person watercolor, whatever. So they're not ready to like be replaced by an online course. Like they don't want to replace you by an online course yet. They still want to see you, right? Like they don't want to be like, oh, now I have to see her online. Like I like seeing her in person. So you're not going to sell them that. But maybe there is a technique of watercolor that you're not going to teach in person, but you can teach in a little online course, and you upsell them that. So the way that I see that is like a doctor. If you've been to the dermatologist and, you go to the dermatologist, that's their main source right now, but they upsell you at the end. They're like, oh, you should really buy this face cream, and that face cream is like their scalable option, right? So for those of you who are afraid of who that is not your space to market, you can actually grow a really beautiful business just off of the people that you have. And then once you start upselling those people, then you'll meet that next level where you can actually, when your clients are too much and the price point, to see you one-on-one, that changes, and you have to then move them online. But if you're like too scared of making like this big leap because you don't know email and you don't know SEO and all those weird words, like just very simply, like this is something business owners have been doing forever. We're just doing digitally now. So think about like a product, like a little online course, something very simple that is an add-on to your current base of person. And that is how I entered the space. And then later, little by little, I got smart about email and marketing and all those kind of things, because I transitioned from like, okay, now I'm not just a practitioner. I am a business, I'm a, business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. So I grew that skill later.
I love that distinction that you made.
The only other thing that I was going to add to both of those, and I loved what both of you said, is to think of your email list as, you're building a relationship. I think a lot of times we get overwhelmed at the idea of these people on our email list and having to email them and what are we going to say? And, if it's hundreds of people or thousands of people, it can just feel a little overwhelming. So my advice would be to really focus on, think about your ideal client and how can you create something on your email list or as a newsletter, like a weekly newsletter or maybe monthly or whatever feels good to you, in which you can become a part of that person's routine. So if you think about it in terms of a relationship, when we're building relationships, what matters? Consistency, right? Having shared memories, like being able to connect over something. All of these things matter. You can still show up as you, like the same way, Nikki was just talking about, if you're a practitioner right now and you're trying to come into the online space, the same way that you show up in person, people want to feel that through your emails. We want to create emails that people are excited to open, where they're feeling like, wow, I get to connect with Alex today. Let's see what she has to say. Let's see what she's up to. So if you really just try to humanize it and to make it something fun where you get to connect with your audience on a consistent basis, I think that really, really helps. And then never underestimate the value of using your socials to talk about what it is that you're creating for your newsletter. Even for me, I've had an online newsletter for 12 or 13 years. I still am so shocked whenever I talk about it on social, people are continuing to sign up. So never underestimate the power of your social channels as well.
Love everything we just shared around list building, and it sounds like from the chat we have supported at a pain point issue for those who get a little bit intimidated by the marketing side of things. Something else that came in through the audience questions was around kind of what are the main things you need before you launch? Like if you were to streamline that list, you don't need all the bells and the whistles. Like what is it that you actually need before that launch? What would you recommend?
So I'll jump in here first. For me, if you're just getting started with your online course and you haven't yet validated it, and what I mean when I say validated it is that you have sold it, you know that people are buying it, you know that it gets results. So if you're still in that early kind of pre-validation stage, what I would say is the best way to launch and get people in through the door is to host a webinar. I find a webinar is just a really easy, simple thing. Host a masterclass on a topic that's irresistible for your ideal clients. Bring them in, give them a ton of value over a 45-minute period. And then in the last 15 minutes, basically pitch to them. Walk them through what your offer is, what the transformation is going to be. Go over any objections that you think that they may have to joining, any Q&As that may come up. If you have testimonials, use those. And by the way, testimonials should be your obsession. Like you should be constantly trying to figure out how to add to your testimonials, because that nothing will help you sell more than incredible testimonials. So I would say having a webinar, making sure that from a sales perspective, you're practicing that webinar again and again and looking at your conversion rate. How many people signed up for the webinar? How many people showed up for the webinar? And how many people ended up purchasing? Also giving them some kind of limited time only offer. So whether it's a discount or a bonus, giving them that sense of urgency of like, hey, you have 24 hours. Are you in or are you out? That's kind of where my head is at in terms of validating the offer, which you can then go and do bigger launches and scale. So from a sales perspective, that's where my head is at.
I love it. I think that's spot on. And I also think something that I hear people get stuck when it comes to the testimonial, it's like, well, if nobody's taking course yet. How do I have testimonials? You can use testimonials from other services that you've offered to validate you as a teacher or a coach or a practitioner, to promote a future product that you're offering. So don't get hung up on this. Well, I don't have the perfect testimonial that speaks to why this specific course. Have it speak to your broader authority, and your ability to support the people that you work with.
Just to piggyback off of that, another thing that you can do that works really well is if there are people in your community who you know would be ideal clients and could benefit from your course, reach out to them and be like, hey, I'd be willing to give this to you for 50% off in exchange for a testimonial, a video testimonial. That works wonders as well.
Love it. Any other before you launch, and maybe Natalie or Nikki, you could focus on from the content perspective of your course, like what's the basics that you need?
So I would say to start, you should have some type of outline of the journey your future students are going to go through, whether it's going to be 5 modules. I'm teaching this, 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 and that. And if you're not sure what that could be, you could even survey. You could do, like look online, Google, see what are the top questions people ask about your topic. Read the comment sections of if there are books or videos on YouTube. What are the questions that people are asking in the comments? That's a great way for you to, if you don't have your own audience that you can easily send a survey to, you can, once again, piggyback off the work that other people have done. And I would say that you should have a way for someone to access that course, whether that's setting it up on Teachable or, another way of doing it. And at least have, I would say, the first couple of lessons so that if someone purchases it, they can get started right away. You can even just say, all right, I'll drip it out once a week. And that just gives you a pace for creating your content. And you don't have to stress about, oh, I need to create everything right away. So know where your course is going, have a few lessons. Another thing you need is a way to sell it. So whether that is going to be a webinar, whether it's going to be a partner launch, whether, you're going to go live on your socials and sell it that way. How are you going to sell it? That's another thing to think about. And then you need like some type of sign up or sales page, and it doesn't have to be super, super amazing. Just needs to be a starting point that you will obviously like perfect, add on those testimonials. And yeah, I'd say like those, and also do not, I would say a really great mock-up image. Like people kind of want to know what they're getting, and you could use Canva for that and just create like a super stunning image that, people will be at least able to kind of see what they're getting. Those would be the things that I'd say are essential.
Yeah, and quickly to plug around building your modules. So a bit ago, we rolled out an AI curriculum generator. So now when you go to build a course in Teachable, you can literally type in, I want to teach a course about XYZ. I want it to cover these topics. The audience for this course is these people. I want it to be 7 modules. And it will generate in our product for you an outline of a course that you can then go in and edit and build on top of. So there are also ways to kind of hack that kind of initial outline and then add your expertise on top of it. We'll have a link to that in the description of this video so you can get access to it, but I would definitely recommend playing around with that.
Oh, I love that, Olivia. That's like, it just takes away the fear of the blank page, like I have that thing. But if I can, guys, I want to talk to like my sensitives in the group, my artist, landscape designer, and watercolorist. I think if there's one thing you need before you launch is you have to believe in your product. Like, I think that the horrible things about artists is that like we have to get behind our product before, like, it's hard for us to believe that what we're doing is good and worthy and all that. Like, it's just part of having that type of personality. So in order to sell that program or that course, like, you need to know that it has done well, that it has performed, that it has transformed people before. Because if not, you just like don't know. You're like you're putting this thing out there and you're like, I have no idea if it actually works. And I've definitely made courses both ways. I've made courses based off like an outline that I've had in my head. I'm like, oh, this would really help people. and I would go and like make the course and then be like, ta-da, the course is here. But then I would feel so insecure about knowing if this worked or not. So I eventually learned, and so it was like very hard for me to sell it. So I eventually learned to beta test, which is basically a little bit of what Alex was talking about. Like, find the people that you already know, give them the 50% off. And beta testing is a lot of like building as you go. So what my most successful course, the one that has sold over 1 million, is, that was tweaked like 4 times before it actually like really came out into the world, and it is what it is today. But the first time, like, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know if it was going to work. Like, I had no idea, like, if these people paid me for no reason. So I just made sure it was really inexpensive. It was amount of money that they weren't going to come after me for, right? Like, just something like, it's just for my time. I worked really hard. I over delivered. And I, spend time with them. And after about like the second time of teaching the program that way, I was like, oh, this works. It's when you start getting the testimonials, you're like, oh shit, like what I just made, like actually works. Like, and when you get that feeling, like the marketing comes second to that. Like you'll figure out the marketing because you already are like, oh no, like I do not feel embarrassed about this anymore. Like I know that this works. So like, there's tons of marketing techniques and they're not all one size fits all. That's not for everybody. Like if you're a writer, you're going to like email. If you like audio, you're going to be on podcasts. It's endless. Pinterest. There's so many, and I don't even do Pinterest and my business has done so well. And it's just fascinating that there's more to do. Like there's more marketing techniques to do. So don't worry about that. Worry about how good you feel about your program. And you can't like, just like, put stuff in your head to make yourself believe that. You actually have to see it with your own eyes. So that's why it's important to like bring those clients that you've already been working with in the studios, your salespeople that you've been selling your landscaping to, like invite them, even if it's for free, invite them to go through your course with them. And when you get those, and then, by default, you're going to get those testimonials, but the testimonials, the beauty about them is for you to be like, wow, this thing works. And once you know that, you can sell anything.
I love that. I love that so much, Nikki. Another question that I want to cover that I think people are always curious about is around kind of the tools that you're using for this, the behind the scenes. Okay, I'm building a course. Do I need to book a space? Do I need to buy new video equipment? Kind of what are the tools that you're using behind the scenes to actually bring this to life? And maybe you've leveled that up today, but when you were just getting started, kind of what did you use? And I'll put that to anybody who wants to jump in.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to not overthink it. Like even for me right now, I don't book a space. I don't get like the fanciest of cameras. Like it's literally just about delivering the value and making sure that they're getting the information they need as fluff free as possible. The only things that I would say is to obviously like you want to be intentional with your brand. So make sure that you are showing up the way that you want to be remembered, maybe that you're well lit, make sure that the audio is good, things like that. But don't obsess over it. You could literally do it with just your iPhone or even just, hosting Zoom calls and giving them access to the replay. Like you can keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, I think that not only is that like, smart because it makes it simple for us, but also like it's a smart business move to do it very minimally at first because you are still testing that product. Mm-hmm. So if so many people are like, I need it to be perfect. So I'm going to get the guy that does the camera and it's going to be $4,000. And I have this beautiful put together thing, but guess what? People don't tell you this, but courses are like, it sounds like an evergreen, amazing online digital project. But even Natalie alluded to this, like we're always working on our courses. So if you just spend $4,000 on a course and then you're like, man, I ran this course twice and I saw that it really needs this. Now, all of a sudden, like what, you're going to go book that space again and that camera purpose? No. So I believe in like exactly what Alex is saying, like what's going to be the easiest to get you there? It's like your couch and like whatever camera you have access to. If it's your Zoom, that's fine too. Of course, some of it will depend on like your person. If you're teaching interior design, maybe you can't get away with like a Zoom, thing because they're very aesthetically driven and you might need a little bit more of an aesthetic look. But for the most part, really just like starting with what you can. And then after you're like, man, I've nailed it, I'm really good at this program, then you can invest in something really beautiful, and even brand it well and things like that. So I taught Soul Reading Method is like my signature program. And we taught it for 2 years on just like videos that, I made with like a little selfie camera that I have, nothing fancy, like it doesn't even have a movable lens, no mic or anything like that, but some good lighting. And then after 2 years of proving that concept, so proving my product, then this product is something worthy of investing in. I'm a really good teacher at this point. Then I did a rebrand 2 years later with some nice video. And probably 2 years from now, I'll have to do it again if I want to keep that program growing. But you want to be like very small on your investments, because I feel like if you invest too early on something that you have not proven, then you start to feel guilty about the money you spend, and you're just concerned with making that money back, and all of the heart and the creativity has been lost. So you want to protect your heart and your creativity and your ability to want to like service people by not over extending yourself in the beginning. So making something very simple that you can be okay with, and you can tell people this is a beta, like this is just the beginning, and that's why you're getting a great deal. And that's the truth. And then later you make it nicer.
So for myself, I 100% agree with that. If you're filming like videos where people see you, I would just encourage you maybe just to create a space where you feel comfortable and confident. So like all my videos for this business, I shoot literally right here because I feel this is like my little set. And it's not a whole lot, but I know that when I sit here, I'm like, okay, I'm on. I feel confident. In terms of like, for me, like my best investment was just purchasing a laptop that can do everything I need it to do. So I'm a Mac user. Mac has, if we're talking tech, I just use iMovie, very easy, like not a steep learning curve for editing your videos. In terms of like, do I need another camera? If you also have an iPhone, you can actually turn your iPhone into your webcam. As long as it's like in close proximity to your laptop, and you can just get like a $10 little tripod from Amazon. So that's what I use. You can get like a microphone if you like. They're not very expensive. This is a Snowball. I bought it like 5 years ago. Still works pretty good. In terms of like other things, like if you want to design workbooks or graphics, use Canva. You can get a free account. So like little things like that I use, and they don't cost that much. The best investment I think is just a computer that's going to help you do what you need to do. And if you're filming, just make sure you have good light. So find, if you're cooking or doing watercolors, just find a spot near an open window, because that is the best light you'll ever get, and it's free. So those are, just little tech things that for me, I use all the time when creating.
I just want to add something to kind of piggyback off of what everyone just said. One of the things that I tell people when they're just getting started with their course and they're still in that validation phase is to have your like outline of what your different modules are going to be and host them live for the first time, and actually, just go on a Zoom call and do the training live. And the benefit of that is that you can see people's faces as they're listening and learning. You can have your thumb on the pulse of what the response is like. That's going to help you rinse and repeat your course and make it better and better each time. For Together We Launch, we actually did 4 live sessions before I ever sat down and pre-recorded anything. So I highly recommend that. It's a great way to just keep things simple.
And you just reminded me of something quickly. If you don't want to, like, if being on camera, like seeing you adds extra anxiety, then just do a screen share. You can record those in Zoom. Also, Zoom has this amazing thing where you can touch up your appearance. So if like putting on makeup and doing all these things also adds anxiety, just like use that feature and you look flawless.
I love it. Hack your way through it. I would also say in that validation exercise, Alex, like that's an opportunity for you to build your list as you head towards the course and get people interested for when you launch. And my next question is around kind of determining success for your launch. I think there's so much pressure to have a six-figure launch and knock it out of the park and all of this. But I'm curious, when it comes to launching your first course or your first membership program, where should you be level setting in terms of defining success in this first go round?
For me, if anyone is listening to this and you're going to have your first launch, the success point is literally just getting through it. Like, that's it. Like, you got through it. Congratulations. Like, you did your first round. It does not matter how many people signed up. And I think once you can kind of separate yourself from that and realize that all you're doing at the beginning is product development, right? That's going to take time. It's not going to happen. You're not going to come out with one course and then that's it. You're good to go, as we've mentioned. Also data collection. So understanding, okay, I tried this way of marketing it, and maybe I hosted a webinar and 100 people signed up and 30 people showed up live and one person bought. Then you know what your conversion rate is and you have somewhere to start predicting your next success moving forward and knowing what you'll need to do in order to improve. So for me, it's just like, did you get through it? Were you, did you try to prioritize the way that you were feeling? Were you kind to yourself? Were you compassionate with yourself? Did you show up and be of service? Like, as long as you put your best foot forward, to me, that is a win. And that's the only thing that we should be measuring at the beginning.
Yeah, Alex, I agree. It's like, let's just get it out. After the get it out, I would say, like, how I currently work is, I don't love coming up with like a monetary amount, because again, too much pressure, you lose the heart of it. Don't love that. So I actually like feel, this is like my woo-woo self. So I feel in which Natalie just gave you an amazing energy tip, that she was like, I feel the vibe in this space, because there's like energy in her set, which I thought was like amazing. And there's a truth to that for sure. But what I like to do is I like to feel into like the amount of people I feel are like meant to be like in this group. So it's just a number that I feel into. So I'm like, oh, I feel like this is for 20 people. Like, I'm ready to like hold space for 20 people. And I think it has a lot to do with like what you are ready to hold. Like, even if you signed up for some crazy course that told you were going to make 100 grand in a month, you may not be ready to, you're energetically may not be ready to hold $100,000 worth of people in your program. Especially like if you don't know the program works well enough yet or whatever, to have that tipping point could like really kill you. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that Harvard Business Review on the Oprah effect. And they said that there was like these studies done on people that were mentioned by Oprah, and some of them would do amazing, and then the other half would just tank. And it was because they were getting like too much too fast. So, and they didn't have the systems to carry like the amount of people that Oprah was sending them. So I know all of us think that we want this like overnight success and we want the 100 grand or whatever they're selling us these days. But really, like, you want to do it at like a pace that you can do a good job at. So I like to be like, okay, like this program is pretty good at this point. I feel like I would feel okay. I feel like I can do a good job. I feel like I can be safe with 30 people. So I imagine 30 seats, and I am just focused on filling those 30 seats. I can get behind the belief that 30 people can get into my program. So I don't want to set myself for 100 people when I can't get behind that yet. There's a lot of energy work, a lot of shifting that would happen for me to get my mindset at 100 people. But for right now, 30 is a little bit of a stretch, but I feel like I can do that. And that's like what I'm going to feel into. And I'm just concerned with not the money amount, but like getting my people, like their butt in that chair, and knowing that there's like 30 people that are going to come from somewhere and sit in this seat. And that really helps me. Those are the ways I set up my goals for my classes.
I love that. For me, I love that you mentioned, Alex, like just surviving it. Because the first time I did my boot camp, I literally am convinced I died and came back to life for the end. Like, that's how intense it is. But then doing it the second time was so much easier. And like when we're launching, we're like tornadoes. Like, we don't go like this, we're going like this. So I think just having peace with that it's a process, that it's a cycle, and just getting through it, and to commit to doing it. And I don't know if any of Nikki or Alex, you can relate to this, but like sending sales emails, for example, just send them all. Don't stop after day 3 if nobody's purchased, because you just got to submit to the process and know that I need to send all these emails, and that it's often not till the very last day that, you know, sales will start coming in. So that's even like with our launches, like just getting it done is an amazing accomplishment. And think about how much easier it's going to be the next time. Like that's often just like what I tell myself. And you're like, what your expectations are for how your launches will go is going to grow as you grow in confidence. So it's totally okay for you to be like, I just want to make one sale. You know, I just want to know that I can sell it once. Because if you can sell it once, you can sell it 10 times. If you can sell it 10 times, you can sell it 100 times. So like just knowing that as you grow, your confidence and your expectation of yourself is also going to grow too. And that's kind of beautiful, you know?
I love what Natalie just said around like, you know, don't give up at the beginning, keep sending out the sales emails. Like, you know, a lot of times the last sales will come in the last day. And it reminds me, inside of Together We Launch, our program, I'm always telling my launchers, it ain't over till it's over. So until that cart is closed, keep believing, keep holding space. I love what Nikki said as well around like visualizing the 30 people, you know, holding space for that number, connecting with them energetically, understanding that your course is not just going to impact their lives, but also the lives of the people around those people. So it's kind of like a ripple effect of just joy and impact. So it ain't over till it's over. And also one of my launchers, Elizabeth Stiles, she always says, sell through the silence. If you can just keep reminding yourself, like if it's silent, sell through the silence. That's where the power is coming from. You know, people don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So as long as you keep showing up and you're in charge of your story, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And that is like a fact. I wish somebody would have told me that, what you guys are talking about, Alex and Natalie. It's like your diehard people are going to buy in the beginning as soon as you announce it. So you'll get some, you know, a hit the first day or two that you announce your program. And it's not, and then you have this quiet time. Let's say you're launching for 2 weeks and you have like 2 weeks of silence that you're like, I am so dumb. Why have I done this to myself? Like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. And then all of a sudden at the end, you get like, you know, your last minute people who just like put it off. They were just like consuming all your free content and loved being with you. And that even doesn't even end there. You close your cart and then for the next 2 or 3 days, you have people begging you to open up the cart again so that they can get you're like, I have 1 seat left. Yes, you can take this seat. I will make the exception for you. And you're like moving people in. So yes, like so important that like, it is very normal. It is like statistically correct that like we get our sales at the beginning, we get them at the end, but that doesn't mean that we get to like sleep in the middle. Like we still have to get that going.
And bear in mind, sorry, Natalie, super quick. Bear in mind as well, what we're telling you guys here is that there is a period of urgency where it's like, it's, you know, this, I do 7 to 14 days, but honestly, normally it's like 7 to 11. I used to do 2 weeks and it felt like way too long. So now I do 7 to 11 days.
Same.
Whatever that is for you, just make sure that you have like an opening of the cart and a closing of the cart.
Yeah. And anything in between that is like an incentive. Like if you buy within the first 3 days, you'll get this discount or you'll get this free session with Nikki or like whatever it is, like urgency, because people will, you know, we all do it, right? We put off our bills to the last minute. We put everything off. So that's, yeah, it's not personal.
I was just going to say to remember that the people you're emailing, the ones who are considering it, they are having the same conversations and questions that you would have when you're considering joining a course. So maybe that's them having a conversation with their spouse about, should I do this? Or trying to like find out if it's the right time. So I think the silence is them like processing, you know, thinking. And if you're not emailing them to continue confidently selling and encouraging them, then you're not like helping them through that time of decision making, right? Like that's a decision making time. Same time we all take for ourselves when we make decisions. So just make sure you keep like popping up in their inbox, like, hey, you know, like this is still happening, or was this your question? Like that is just helping them to make the choice.
I I love it. I come from the crowdfunding world, and we used to call it the trough of sorrow, the in between the launch and the close. And that mantra of sell through the silence, Alex, I will be taking that with me.
It's a good one.
It's a really, really good one. So I would love to round this out with a question about what's the most unexpected result that you've had in your life by taking courses as like your business strategy. Now that you've decided to be a course creator, you've been at this for years. What's like an unexpected result of taking this career path?
I can go. Oh, Natalie, go ahead.
I was like, I guess like once you get through this, like getting started, creating the course, setting up the sales page, how easy it is and repeatable it is, like it's kind of shocking. Like once you get it all up and validated and running and you know like, wow, if I do a webinar with someone who has 10,000 subscribers, I'm gonna get this. Or when I relaunch this in May, I know this is gonna happen. And that is amazing. And it's so freeing. And your socks will blow off when you realize how fast you can scale and how far you can go and the freedom that comes with that. Like, best choice you can ever make.
Yeah. I've been like deeply blessed by this career path. It does take a long time. So I want to kind of precaution like what I'm about to say with that it, it takes time to figure out, but it has given me, I'm a mom of 3 and my husband used to we used to run a tree business together in Miami. He's an arborist and he was very sick. He was a workaholic and he was falling into addictions. And I was running I was raising these 3 young kids and I wanted to be home with them also. So I didn't want to like go back to the magazine. I wanted to stay working for myself. And I was like, well, this is like do or die because like my husband does not have much longer providing wise. So I put like all my eggs into the basket of like online courses and everything. And he's fully retired today and he's taking care of my 5-year-old today because our 5-year-old, because they're off on summer break. And my kids, it makes me want to cry because my kids are, they get to see their dad every day. They get to see their mom every day. And it's like because of platforms like Teachable and because of betting on yourself and doing the hard thing because you have that vision, you're like, I think this could work. And that's really all it was in the beginning when I was there, like having no idea how I was going to replace my husband's income. I was like, okay, I think this can work. I think this can work. And it did work. And we were able to, we live off of my business. Like, I don't even know how that happens some days. And it just, you become a better business person, your heart gets bigger and you just keep going. So there are many hidden blessings, in this work.
Oh my gosh.
I know that was so beautiful. That's hard to follow. Mine are going to be a little different seeing as I'm childless, but
you still matter, Alex. Women that don't have child still matter.
The obvious ones for me are like the travel and the freedom and all of that is great and wonderful. But I think the most surprising element of it has been how this online business model really is like the best personal development, self-development tool. Like it pushes me to new heights. It's so challenging. I love it every step of the way. Like it feels like I'm just in my purpose and I feel fulfilled by it and the impact. And it just feels like so much fun, And I think when I first got into it, I didn't really know what to expect, but it being such a personal development tool also just kind of makes me so happy.
Agree.
All amazing answers. And for those listening, this is what stands on the other side for you of overcoming kind of the narrative in your head telling you can't. There's so much waiting for you on the other side. So we are at the top of the hour. I would love to round this out just by giving you each the opportunity to make an ask of this community. How can we support you? How can we stay connected to you and continue to cheer you on your journey? And Natalie, I'll start with you.
Hey everyone, you can head on over to my YouTube channel where I share free weekly Pinterest training. And in the banner, you'll see a link to my free masterclass if you want to learn how to use Pinterest to get out there and find your people and build your email list, all that good stuff.
Beautiful. And Nikki, how about you?
Well, I don't do too much in like the, I'm more in the intuition space, but you can visit me on Instagram at Nikki Novo. And we do help spiritual entrepreneurs launch their businesses. And that's part of the soul reading method. But you can just follow my journey around on Nikki Novo.
Awesome. And Alex?
And for me, I have to share with all of you that I have a podcast called On Purpose with Alex Beeden, and we specifically cater to online course creators and membership site owners. And I'm definitely going to have Natalie and Nikki on the show because I feel like there's so many things that I want to talk to you both about, but you can find me there, On Purpose with Alex Beeden. But I also just want to encourage anyone who's here to reach out to the three of us, go on Instagram and find us and send us a DM and just say hello. It's so great to be connected. And then the other thing that I'll let you know is if you do want to learn more about launching, I have something called the Launch Expansion Method. And it's a free masterclass. You can go and check it out. It is also a lead magnet that then pitches my program. So it can be a really good example to you as to what I've been talking about here on this training. So definitely go and check that out. You can find the link in my bio at Alex Beeden on Instagram.
Amazing. We also have freebies from all of our panelists in the description of this video, so definitely check it out. If you want to get connected to Teachable, head to our website, follow us on social, and we will be back next month with another session. Thank you, Natalie, Nikki, Alex, for your time, your expertise, your vulnerability, all of it. We're so thankful, and we hope everyone has a beautiful rest of their day.